The African bullfrog. A fearless predator of the swamps. In the murky waters and muddy banks of sub-Saharan Africa's seasonal wetlands, a formidable predator lies in wait. The African bullfrog, scientifically known as Pyxicephalus adspersus, is one of the largest frog species on the African continent and arguably one of the most aggressive amphibians in the world. With its massive size, powerful jaws, and fearless temperament, this remarkable creature has earned its reputation as the apex predator of its swampy domain. A giant among frogs. The African bullfrog is an imposing specimen that commands attention wherever it appears. Adult males can reach lengths of up to 9.5 inches, 24 centimeters, and weigh as much as 4.2 pounds, nearly 2 kilograms, making them the second largest frog species in the world, surpassed only by the Goliath frog of West Africa. Females are considerably smaller, typically reaching only about half the size of their male counterparts, a sexual dimorphism that is quite pronounced in this species. These massive amphibians possess a stocky, robust build with a broad head and an enormous mouth that seems disproportionately large even for their substantial body size. Their skin is typically olive green on the dorsal surface, often with subtle variations in shade and occasional darker markings or ridges. The ventral surface is usually cream or yellowish in color. During the breeding season, male African bullfrogs develop a distinctive yellow or orange throat, which serves as a visual signal of their readiness to mate and their territorial status. The physical appearance of the African bullfrog is perfectly suited to its lifestyle as an ambush predator. Their wide, flat bodies allow them to hunker down in shallow water or soft mud, where they can remain nearly motionless for extended periods. Their eyes are positioned on top of their head, enabling them to survey their surroundings while the rest of their body remains submerged or hidden. This anatomical arrangement provides them with excellent visibility while maintaining the element of surprise that is crucial to their hunting strategy. Distribution and habitat. African bullfrogs are found throughout much of sub-Saharan Africa, with their range extending from Nigeria and Sudan in the north to South Africa in the south. They inhabit a variety of wetland environments, including temporary pools, flooded grasslands, marshes, and slow-moving streams. These frogs have evolved to thrive in regions characterized by distinct wet and dry seasons, where water availability fluctuates dramatically throughout the year. The African bullfrog's habitat preferences are closely tied to seasonal rainfall patterns. During the wet season, which typically occurs during the summer months in southern Africa, these frogs emerge and become highly active. They congregate around temporary pools and rain-filled depressions, where they engage in breeding activities and intensive feeding. The explosive nature of their breeding behavior is a direct adaptation to the ephemeral nature of their aquatic habitats, as they must complete their reproductive cycle before the water disappears. When the dry season arrives and water sources begin to evaporate, African bullfrogs demonstrate one of their most remarkable survival adaptations. Rather than attempting to migrate to permanent water sources, they employ a strategy known as estivation, a form of dormancy similar to hibernation but triggered by heat and drought rather than cold. The frog burrows backward into the soft mud or soil, digging down to depths of up to 2 feet or more. Once underground, it secretes a mucus cocoon around its entire body, creating a waterproof barrier that prevents moisture loss. In this protected state, the African bullfrog can survive for months or even years, waiting patiently for the rains to return. The diet of a voracious predator. The African bullfrog is an opportunistic carnivore with an appetite that matches its impressive size. These frogs are sit-and-wait predators that rely on their patience, camouflage, and lightning-fast reflexes to capture prey. Their diet is remarkably diverse and includes virtually any animal they can overpower and swallow, demonstrating the old adage that if it fits in their mouth, it's food. Insects form a significant portion of the African bullfrog's diet, particularly for younger individuals. They consume beetles, grasshoppers, crickets, moths, and various other invertebrates. However, as these frogs grow larger, their prey preferences shift toward more substantial fare. Adult African bullfrogs regularly consume other amphibians, including smaller frog species and even their own kind. Cannibalism is not uncommon, particularly when population densities are high or food is scarce. Small reptiles also feature prominently on the menu. African bullfrogs have been observed consuming small snakes, lizards, and juvenile crocodiles. Their powerful jaws and aggressive nature allow them to tackle prey that many other amphibians would avoid. Birds are another potential food source, with these frogs occasionally snatching small birds that venture too close to the water's edge. Small mammals, including rodents such as mice and young rats, are also taken when the opportunity arises. Perhaps most remarkably, African bullfrogs have been known to consume venomous snakes and scorpions, seemingly unaffected by their prey's defensive toxins. This resistance to venom, combined with their aggressive hunting style, allows them to exploit food sources that are unavailable to most other predators in their ecosystem. The African bullfrog's hunting technique is brutally efficient. When potential prey comes within range, the frog lunges forward with surprising speed, opening its cavernous mouth and using its sticky tongue to help secure the victim. For larger prey items that cannot be easily swallowed, the frog uses its forelimbs to stuff the food into its mouth, displaying a level of manual dexterity unusual among amphibians. The African bullfrog also possesses tooth-like projections on its lower jaw, which help grip struggling prey and prevent escape. Fearless defense and aggressive behavior. The African bullfrog's reputation as a fearless predator extends beyond its hunting prowess to its defensive behavior. When threatened, these frogs do not retreat or attempt to hide as many amphibians do. Instead, they adopt an aggressive defensive posture, inflating their bodies to appear even larger and more intimidating than they already are. They open their enormous mouths wide, displaying the pale interior as a warning signal, and produce loud, bellowing croaks that can be heard from considerable distances. If these displays fail to deter a potential threat, the African bullfrog will not hesitate to bite. Their bite is surprisingly powerful for an amphibian, capable of drawing blood and causing significant pain. They possess a vice-like grip and are known to refuse to release once they've latched onto an aggressor. This willingness to stand their ground and fight rather than flee has earned them respect and caution from both predators and humans who encounter them. Male African bullfrogs are particularly aggressive during the breeding season when they become highly territorial. They defend their breeding sites vigorously against rival males, engaging in physical combat that involves wrestling, biting, and attempting to flip opponents onto their backs. These contests can be intense and prolonged, with the victor earning the right to mate with females in his territory. Remarkable parental care. Among amphibians, parental care is relatively rare, but the African bullfrog is a notable exception. Male African bullfrogs display an extraordinary level of dedication to their offspring that is almost unprecedented among frogs. After mating occurs and eggs are fertilized, the male takes on the role of guardian, remaining with the eggs and later the tadpoles throughout their aquatic development. The male patrols the breeding pool, aggressively defending his offspring against any potential predators or competitors. This includes other frogs, insects, birds, and even members of his own species. He will attack anything that approaches the tadpoles, regardless of size, demonstrating the same fearless aggression that characterizes the species in other contexts. Perhaps most remarkably, if the temporary pool begins to dry up before the tadpoles have completed their metamorphosis, the male African bullfrog takes extraordinary action. He uses his powerful legs and body to dig channels through the mud, creating pathways that connect isolated puddles or lead toward larger bodies of water. This behavior, which requires considerable effort and energy, can save an entire generation of offspring from death by desiccation. The male may also remain in shrinking pools with his tadpoles, ensuring their protection even as the water becomes increasingly shallow and his own survival is threatened. This level of parental investment is energetically expensive and risky for the male, yet it significantly increases the survival rate of his offspring. The behavior is thought to have evolved in response to the unpredictable and ephemeral nature of the African bullfrog's breeding habitat, where tadpoles face constant threats from drying conditions and concentrated predators in shrinking pools. Life cycle and reproduction. The reproductive biology of the African bullfrog is intimately tied to the arrival of seasonal rains. When the first heavy rains of the wet season arrive, Male bullfrogs emerge from their underground retreats and congregate at temporary pools and flooded areas. They immediately begin calling to attract females, producing deep, resonant bellows that sound somewhat like the roaring of distant lions or the lowing of cattle. These calls can be heard for over a kilometer and serve both to attract females and to establish territorial boundaries with neighboring males. Females arrive at the breeding sites and assess potential mates, with larger males generally preferred. The female selects a male and approaches his territory, where amplexus, the mating embrace, occurs. The female deposits thousands of eggs in the water, often laying between 3,000 and 4,000 eggs in a single clutch, though some females may produce even more. The male fertilizes the eggs externally as they are released. The eggs hatch within just a few days, producing tiny tadpoles that initially feed on algae and plant matter. As they grow, the tadpoles become increasingly carnivorous, consuming insect larvae, smaller tadpoles, and any other protein-rich food they can find. The tadpole stage typically lasts 4 to 6 weeks under optimal conditions, though development time can vary depending on temperature and food availability. Metamorphosis transforms the aquatic tadpole into a terrestrial frog, a process that involves dramatic physiological and morphological changes. The newly metamorphosed froglets are miniature versions of the adults, though they lack the size and aggressive temperament of their parents. These young frogs face high mortality rates from predators, desiccation, and starvation, but those that survive grow rapidly, reaching sexual maturity in 1 to 2 years for females and 2 to 3 years for males. Ecological role and interactions. As apex predators in their wetland ecosystems, African bullfrogs play a crucial role in regulating populations of various prey species. They help control insect populations, which can reach plague proportions in African wetlands during the rainy season. By consuming other amphibians and small vertebrates, they also influence community structure and may limit population growth of species that could otherwise become overabundant. Despite their position as predators, African bullfrogs are not without their own enemies. Large wading birds such as herons and egrets will prey upon African bullfrogs when the opportunity arises, though they must be cautious of the frog's powerful bite. Snakes, particularly larger species, are also significant predators. Monitor lizards and small crocodiles may consume adult bullfrogs, while the eggs and tadpoles face predation from numerous aquatic invertebrates, fish, and other amphibians. During their estivation period, buried African bullfrogs are vulnerable to being unearthed by digging mammals such as honey badgers, mongooses, and various rodent species. However, their deep burrows and protective mucus cocoons provide substantial protection against most threats during this vulnerable time. Conservation status and human interactions. The African bullfrog is currently listed as least concern by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, indicating that the species is not currently facing significant threats of extinction. Their wide distribution, adaptability, and ability to survive in modified habitats contribute to their relatively stable population status. However, like many amphibian species worldwide, they face ongoing challenges from habitat loss, pollution, and climate change. Agricultural expansion and urbanization have reduced available wetland habitat in many parts of the African bullfrog's range. The drainage of seasonal wetlands for cultivation and development eliminates critical breeding sites. Climate change may alter rainfall patterns, potentially affecting the timing and reliability of the seasonal floods upon which these frogs depend. The international pet trade has also created some concern. African bullfrogs are sometimes collected from the wild for sale to exotic pet enthusiasts, attracted by the species' impressive size and unusual behaviors. While captive breeding has reduced pressure on wild populations to some extent, unregulated collection remains a concern in some areas. In many African cultures, the African bullfrog features in traditional folklore and beliefs. Some communities consider them good luck, particularly if they appear near homes after the first rains. Others harvest them for food, as the large muscles of adult bullfrogs provide a substantial source of protein. Traditional medicine in some regions also utilizes various parts of the frog for purported therapeutic purposes. Adaptations for survival. The African bullfrog possesses a suite of remarkable adaptations that enable it to thrive in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Their ability to estivate for extended periods is perhaps their most critical survival mechanism. The metabolic rate of an estivating bullfrog drops dramatically, allowing the animal to survive on stored body fat for months or even years if necessary. The mucus cocoon prevents water loss while still allowing for gas exchange, ensuring the frog can breathe while entombed in its underground chamber. The bullfrog's skin, while appearing rough and relatively thick for an amphibian, still serves the typical amphibian function of supplementing respiration. However, African bullfrogs can also actively drink water through their skin, rapidly rehydrating after emerging from estivation. When rain finally arrives, buried bullfrogs can detect the vibrations and moisture changes in the soil and emerge within hours, ready to feed and breed. Their aggressive temperament and willingness to bite are also adaptive traits. In an environment where resources are scarce and competition is intense, the ability to defend feeding territories and breeding sites provides significant advantages. Their intimidating displays and powerful bites deter many potential competitors and predators, allowing them to monopolize the best resources in their habitat. Conclusion: the African bullfrog stands as a testament to the remarkable diversity and adaptability of amphibian life. This fearless predator has evolved an impressive array of physical and behavioral adaptations that allow it to thrive in the harsh and unpredictable environments of sub-Saharan Africa's seasonal wetlands. From their massive size and powerful jaws to their extraordinary parental care and ability to survive prolonged drought, African bullfrogs demonstrate that amphibians are capable of far more complexity and resilience than commonly appreciated. These remarkable creatures remind us that predators come in many forms, and that aggression and courage are not the exclusive province of mammals and reptiles. The African bullfrog's success in one of Africa's most challenging habitats illustrates the power of evolutionary adaptation and the importance of behavioral flexibility in survival. As we continue to study these fascinating amphibians, we gain deeper insights into the strategies that allow life to persist and flourish even in the face of extreme environmental challenges. Understanding and appreciating species like the African bullfrog is crucial for broader conservation efforts. These frogs serve as indicators of wetland health and play vital roles in their ecosystems. Protecting their habitats ensures not only the survival of this remarkable species, but also the countless other organisms that share their swampy domain. The African bullfrog story is one of tenacity, adaptability, and the raw power of natural selection, a reminder that nature's most impressive predators sometimes come in unexpected packages.